Welcome back to Drowsy Tales Daily. Tonight I have 33 incredible stories from Reddit about legal services frauds and attorney deceptions where dishonest lawyers, law firms, and legal service providers deliberately betrayed client trust through billing scams, case manipulation, credential fraud, and settlement deceptions that turned essential legal representation into costly nightmares and violated legal profession standards. Our first story comes from legal clients who discovered their law firm was billing clients for legal research while using outdated case law and statutes, charging for comprehensive legal research and current case analysis while relying on obsolete legal precedents and expired statutes despite legal representation agreements and research procedures that guaranteed current legal research and accurate case analysis according to legal profession standards and client representation requirements. The outdated research operation involved targeted research fraud and legal manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal services to avoid immediate detection by legal oversight and research monitoring that relied on honest legal research and current case analysis for client protection and legal profession integrity. The firm had been particularly focused on billing for expensive legal research and case analysis while ensuring that research fraud would be concealed through false research documentation and manipulated case records that would justify research billing despite actual research quality that provided outdated legal information according to legal fraud concealment and client representation deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false research records and case documentation while coordinating outdated research with billing protocols to minimize research costs while concealing actual research currency and legal accuracy that would affect client case outcomes and legal representation based on honest legal practices and current research delivery. The firm had also been manipulating research procedures and case verification processes to maintain research fraud while avoiding legal oversight and research monitoring that would reveal research manipulation and legal violations that violated client protection and legal profession integrity standards. The outdated research fraud was discovered when clients investigated case outcomes and discovered research obsolescence evidence, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and research manipulation that violated legal profession regulations and client representation standards. Our second story comes from legal clients who discovered their attorney was claiming specialized expertise while lacking experience in advertised practice areas, presenting false specialization credentials and expert qualifications while providing legal services outside their actual expertise despite legal representation agreements and specialization procedures that guaranteed expert legal knowledge and specialized practice experience according to legal profession standards and attorney specialization requirements. The false expertise operation involved targeted specialization fraud and credential manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal practice to avoid immediate detection by legal oversight and specialization monitoring that relied on honest expertise claims and specialized knowledge for client protection and legal profession integrity. The attorney had been particularly focused on claiming expensive specialization areas and expert credentials while ensuring that expertise fraud would be concealed through false specialization documentation and manipulated experience records that would justify expert billing despite actual practice experience that lacked specialized knowledge according to legal fraud concealment and client expertise deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false specialization records and expertise documentation while coordinating inexperienced practice with expert billing protocols to maximize legal revenue while concealing actual practice experience and specialized knowledge that would affect client legal outcomes and representation quality based on honest legal practices and specialized expertise delivery. The attorney had also been manipulating legal procedures and specialization verification processes to maintain expertise fraud while avoiding legal oversight and specialization monitoring that would reveal expertise manipulation and legal violations that violated client protection and legal profession integrity standards. The false expertise fraud was discovered when clients investigated case handling and discovered specialization absence evidence, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and expertise manipulation that violated legal profession regulations and attorney specialization standards. Our third story comes from legal clients who discovered their legal service company was charging for document preparation while using generic templates, billing for customized legal documents and personalized document preparation while providing standardized templates and generic forms despite document preparation agreements and customization procedures that guaranteed personalized documents and customized legal preparation according to legal service standards and document preparation requirements. The generic template operation involved targeted preparation fraud and customization manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal services to avoid immediate detection by legal oversight and document monitoring that relied on honest document preparation and personalized customization for client protection and legal service integrity. The company had been particularly focused on billing for expensive customized documents and personalized preparation while ensuring that preparation fraud would be concealed through false customization documentation and manipulated document records that would justify customization billing despite actual document format that provided only generic templates according to legal fraud concealment and client document deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false preparation records and customization documentation while coordinating template usage with customization billing protocols to minimize preparation time while concealing actual document personalization and preparation quality that would affect client legal documents and document effectiveness based on honest legal practices and customized document delivery. The company had also been manipulating document procedures and preparation verification processes to maintain template fraud while avoiding legal oversight and document monitoring that would reveal preparation manipulation and document violations that violated client protection and legal service integrity standards. The generic template fraud was discovered when clients investigated document quality and discovered customization absence evidence, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and document manipulation that violated legal service regulations and document preparation standards. Our fourth story comes from legal clients who discovered their law firm was billing for court appearances while sending unqualified paralegals instead of attorneys, charging for attorney representation and courtroom advocacy while providing paralegal services and unauthorized practice despite legal representation agreements and court procedures that guaranteed licensed attorney representation and qualified legal advocacy according to legal profession standards and courtroom representation requirements. The paralegal substitution operation involved targeted representation fraud and qualification manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal services to avoid immediate detection by legal oversight and court monitoring that relied on honest attorney representation and qualified legal advocacy for client protection and legal profession integrity. The firm had been particularly focused on billing for expensive attorney rates and courtroom representation while ensuring that substitution fraud would be concealed through false appearance documentation and manipulated representation records that would justify attorney billing despite actual representation provider that lacked attorney qualification according to legal fraud concealment and client representation deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false attorney appearance records and representation documentation while coordinating paralegal substitution with attorney billing protocols to maximize billing efficiency while concealing actual representation, provider, and legal qualification that would affect client courtroom representation and case outcomes based on honest legal practices and qualified attorney delivery. The firm had also been manipulating court procedures and representation verification processes to maintain substitution fraud while avoiding legal oversight and court monitoring that would reveal representation manipulation and legal violations that violated client protection and legal profession integrity standards. The paralegal substitution fraud was discovered when clients investigated court records and discovered attorney absence evidence, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and representation manipulation that violated legal profession regulations and courtroom representation standards. Our fifth story comes from legal clients who discovered their attorney was charging premium rates while delegating all work to inexperienced junior associates, billing for senior attorney expertise and experienced legal representation while providing junior associate services and inexperienced legal work despite legal representation agreements and experience procedures that guaranteed experienced attorney work and senior legal expertise according to legal profession standards and attorney experience requirements. The delegation fraud operation involved targeted experience fraud and representation manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal practice to avoid immediate detection by legal oversight and experience monitoring that relied on honest attorney work and experienced representation for client protection and legal profession integrity. The attorney had been particularly focused on billing for expensive senior attorney rates and experienced representation while ensuring that delegation fraud would be concealed through false work documentation and manipulated representation records that would justify senior billing despite actual work provider that lacked senior experience according to legal fraud concealment and client representation deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false attorney work records and representation documentation while coordinating junior delegation with senior billing protocols to minimize attorney time while concealing actual work provider and experience level. That would affect client legal representation and case quality based on honest legal practices and experienced attorney delivery. The attorney had also been manipulating legal procedures and work verification processes to maintain delegation fraud, while avoiding legal oversight and experience monitoring that would reveal delegation manipulation and legal violations that violated client protection and legal profession integrity standards. The delegation fraud was discovered when clients investigated work quality and discovered experience level discrepancies, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and representation manipulation that violated legal profession regulations and attorney experience standards. Our sixth story comes from legal aid clients who discovered their legal aid organization was billing for free services while collecting government funding duplicatively, charging clients for supposedly free legal assistance while simultaneously receiving government payments for the same services despite legal aid agreements and funding procedures that prohibited double billing and guaranteed free legal services according to legal aid standards and public funding requirements. The duplicative billing operation involved targeted funding fraud and service manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal aid services to avoid immediate detection by funding oversight and aid monitoring that relied on honest service provision and single funding sources for client protection and legal aid integrity. The organization had been particularly focused on collecting both client payments and government funding while ensuring that billing fraud would be concealed through false service documentation and manipulated funding records that would justify dual revenue streams despite actual funding sources that violated aid agreements according to legal fraud concealment and client service deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false service records and funding documentation while coordinating duplicative billing with government funding protocols to maximize revenue collection while concealing actual funding sources and service costs that would affect client aid access and public funding efficiency based on honest legal practices and single funding delivery. The organization had also been manipulating aid procedures and funding verification processes to maintain billing fraud while avoiding funding oversight and aid monitoring that would reveal billing manipulation and funding violations that violated client protection and legal aid integrity standards. The duplicative billing fraud was discovered when clients investigated service costs and discovered government funding evidence, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and funding manipulation that violated legal aid regulations and public funding standards. Our seventh story comes from legal clients who discovered their law firm was charging for expert witness preparation while using unqualified testimony providers. Billing for expert witness services and qualified testimony while providing witnesses without relevant expertise and proper qualifications despite legal representation agreements and witness procedures that guaranteed qualified expert testimony and credible witness preparation according to legal profession standards and expert witness requirements. The unqualified witness operation involved targeted testimony fraud and qualification manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal services to avoid immediate detection by legal oversight and witness monitoring that relied on honest expert qualification and credible testimony for client protection and legal profession integrity. The firm had been particularly focused on billing for expensive expert witness services and testimony preparation while ensuring that qualification fraud would be concealed through false expertise documentation and manipulated witness records that would justify expert billing despite actual witness qualifications that lacked relevant expertise according to legal fraud concealment and client testimony deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false expert qualification records and witness documentation while coordinating unqualified witnesses with expert billing protocols to minimize witness costs while concealing actual witness qualifications and testimony credibility that would affect client case strength and legal representation based on honest legal practices and qualified expert delivery. The firm had also been manipulating witness procedures and qualification verification processes to maintain testimony fraud while avoiding legal oversight and witness monitoring that would reveal witness manipulation and qualification violations that violated client protection and legal profession integrity standards. The unqualified witness fraud was discovered when courts investigated witness credentials and discovered qualification absence evidence, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and witness manipulation that violated legal profession regulations and expert witness standards. Our eighth story comes from legal clients who discovered their attorney was billing for case investigation while conducting minimal research and preparation, charging for comprehensive case investigation and thorough legal preparation while providing superficial research and inadequate case development despite legal representation agreements and investigation procedures that guaranteed thorough case investigation and comprehensive legal preparation according to legal profession standards and case preparation requirements. The minimal investigation operation involved targeted preparation fraud and research manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal practice to avoid immediate detection by legal oversight and investigation monitoring that relied on honest case preparation and thorough investigation for client protection and legal profession integrity. The attorney had been particularly focused on billing for expensive case investigation and preparation services while ensuring that investigation fraud would be concealed through false research documentation and manipulated preparation records that would justify investigation billing despite actual research quality that provided minimal case development according to legal fraud concealment and client preparation deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false investigation records and preparation documentation while coordinating minimal research with investigation billing protocols to minimize preparation time while concealing actual investigation quality and case development that would affect client legal outcomes and representation effectiveness based on honest legal practices and thorough investigation delivery. The attorney had also been manipulating legal procedures and investigation verification processes to maintain preparation fraud while avoiding legal oversight and investigation monitoring that would reveal investigation manipulation and preparation violations that violated client protection and legal profession integrity standards. The minimal investigation fraud was discovered when clients investigated case outcomes and discovered preparation deficiency evidence, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and investigation manipulation that violated legal profession regulations and case preparation standards. Our ninth story comes from legal clients who discovered their legal service provider was charging for consultation time while providing generic legal advice, billing for personalized legal consultation and specialized advice while offering standardized legal information and generic guidance despite consultation agreements and advice procedures that guaranteed personalized consultation and specialized legal advice according to legal service standards and consultation requirements. The generic advice operation involved targeted consultation fraud and advice manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal services to avoid immediate detection by legal oversight and consultation monitoring that relied on honest legal consultation and personalized advice for client protection and legal service integrity. The provider had been particularly focused on billing for expensive consultation time and specialized advice while ensuring that consultation fraud would be concealed through false advice documentation and manipulated consultation records that would justify personalized billing despite actual advice quality that provided only generic information according to legal fraud concealment and client consultation deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false consultation records and advice documentation while coordinating generic guidance with personalized billing protocols to maximize consultation efficiency while concealing actual advice personalization and consultation quality that would affect client legal guidance and advice effectiveness based on honest legal practices and personalized consultation delivery. The provider had also been manipulating consultation procedures and advice verification processes to maintain advice fraud while avoiding legal oversight and consultation monitoring that would reveal consultation manipulation and advice violations that violated client protection and legal service integrity standards. The generic advice fraud was discovered when clients investigated consultation value and discovered advice standardization evidence, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and consultation manipulation that violated legal service regulations and consultation standards. Our 10th story comes from legal clients who discovered their law firm was billing clients for filing fees while submitting incomplete or incorrect documents, charging for proper document filing and court submission while providing deficient paperwork and incorrect legal filings despite legal representation agreements and filing procedures that guaranteed proper document submission and accurate legal filings according to legal profession standards and court filing requirements. The incorrect filing operation involved targeted filing fraud and document manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal services to avoid immediate detection by legal oversight and filing monitoring that relied on honest document submission and accurate filings for client protection and legal profession integrity. The firm had been particularly focused on billing for filing fees and document submission while ensuring that filing fraud would be concealed through false submission documentation and manipulated filing records that would justify filing billing despite actual document quality that provided incorrect submissions according to legal fraud concealment and client filing deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false filing records and submission documentation while coordinating incorrect documents with filing billing protocols to minimize preparation time while concealing actual document accuracy and filing quality that would affect client legal cases and court proceedings based on honest legal practices and proper document delivery. The firm had also been manipulating filing procedures and document verification processes to maintain submission fraud while avoiding legal oversight and filing monitoring that would reveal filing manipulation and document violations that violated client protection and legal profession integrity standards. The incorrect filing fraud was discovered when courts rejected documents and clients investigated filing quality, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and filing manipulation that violated legal profession regulations and court filing standards. Our 11th story comes from legal clients who discovered their attorney was charging for settlement negotiations while accepting first offers without client consultation, billing for negotiation services and settlement advocacy while immediately accepting initial settlement offers without client input despite legal representation agreements and negotiation procedures that guaranteed client consultation and advocacy in settlement discussions according to legal profession standards and client representation requirements. The inadequate negotiation operation involved targeted settlement fraud and advocacy manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal practice to avoid immediate detection by legal oversight and negotiation monitoring that relied on honest settlement advocacy and client consultation for customer protection and legal profession integrity. The attorney had been particularly focused on billing for negotiation services and settlement work while ensuring that negotiation fraud would be concealed through false advocacy documentation and manipulated settlement records that would justify negotiation billing despite actual negotiation effort that provided no client advocacy according to legal fraud concealment and client settlement deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false negotiation records and settlement documentation while coordinating immediate acceptance with negotiation billing protocols to minimize negotiation time while concealing actual advocacy effort and settlement quality that would affect client compensation and legal outcomes based on honest legal practices and thorough negotiation delivery. The attorney had also been manipulating negotiation procedures and settlement verification processes to maintain advocacy fraud while avoiding legal oversight and negotiation monitoring that would reveal negotiation manipulation and settlement violations that violated client protection and legal profession integrity standards. The inadequate negotiation fraud was discovered when clients investigated settlement amounts and discovered negotiation absence evidence, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and settlement manipulation that violated legal profession regulations and client representation standards. Our 12th story comes from legal clients who discovered their legal document service was billing for notarization while using expired or invalid notary credentials, charging for official notarization services and document authentication while providing notarization from expired commissions and invalid credentials despite notarization agreements and credential procedures that guaranteed valid notarization and proper document authentication according to notary public standards and document authentication requirements. The invalid notarization operation involved targeted credential fraud and authentication manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate document services to avoid immediate detection by notary oversight and credential monitoring that relied on honest notarization and valid credentials for client protection and notary service integrity. The service had been particularly focused on billing for notarization services and document authentication, while ensuring that credential fraud would be concealed through false notary documentation and manipulated credential records that would justify notarization billing despite actual credential status that provided invalid authentication according to legal fraud concealment and client document deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false credential records and notarization documentation while coordinating expired credentials with notarization billing protocols to avoid credential renewal while concealing actual credential validity and authentication legitimacy that would affect client document validity and legal acceptance based on honest notary practices and valid credential delivery. The service had also been manipulating notarization procedures and credential verification processes to maintain credential fraud while avoiding notary oversight and credential monitoring that would reveal credential manipulation and notarization violations that violated client protection and notary service integrity standards. The invalid notarization fraud was discovered when documents were rejected and clients investigated notary credentials, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and credential manipulation that violated notary public regulations and document authentication standards. Our 13th story comes from criminal defendants who discovered their law firm was charging for trial preparation while planning to encourage plea bargains exclusively, billing for comprehensive trial preparation and courtroom advocacy while pressuring clients toward plea agreements without trial preparation despite legal representation agreements and defense procedures that guaranteed trial preparation and courtroom representation according to criminal defense standards and client advocacy requirements. The plea pressure operation involved targeted defense fraud and advocacy manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal practice to avoid immediate detection by legal oversight and defense monitoring that relied on honest trial preparation and client advocacy for defendant protection and legal profession integrity. The firm had been particularly focused on billing for expensive trial preparation and defense services while ensuring that defense fraud would be concealed through false preparation documentation and manipulated defense records that would justify trial billing despite actual defense strategy that avoided trial preparation according to legal fraud concealment and client defense deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false trial preparation records and defense documentation while coordinating plea pressure with trial billing protocols to minimize preparation work while concealing actual defense strategy and trial readiness that would affect client legal outcomes and defense quality based on honest legal practices and comprehensive trial preparation delivery. The firm had also been manipulating defense procedures and trial verification processes to maintain preparation fraud, while avoiding legal oversight and defense monitoring that would reveal defense manipulation and trial violations that violated client protection and legal profession integrity standards. The plea pressure fraud was discovered when clients investigated defense strategy and discovered trial preparation absence evidence, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and defense manipulation that violated criminal defense regulations and client advocacy standards. Our 14th story comes from legal clients who discovered their attorney was billing for client communication while avoiding calls and delaying case updates, charging for client consultation and communication services while consistently avoiding client contact, and providing delayed case information despite legal representation agreements and communication procedures that guaranteed regular client communication and timely case updates according to legal profession standards and client service requirements. The avoided communication operation involved targeted service fraud and communication manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal practice to avoid immediate detection by legal oversight and communication monitoring that relied on honest client communication and timely updates for customer protection and legal profession integrity. The attorney had been particularly focused on billing for communication services and client consultation while ensuring that communication fraud would be concealed through false contact documentation and manipulated communication records that would justify communication billing despite actual communication frequency that avoided client contact according to legal fraud concealment and client service deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false communication records and consultation documentation while coordinating contact avoidance with communication billing protocols to minimize client interaction while concealing actual communication frequency and service quality that would affect client satisfaction and case awareness based on honest legal practices and regular communication delivery. The attorney had also been manipulating communication procedures and contact verification processes to maintain service fraud while avoiding legal oversight and communication monitoring that would reveal communication manipulation and service violations that violated client protection and legal profession integrity standards. The avoided communication fraud was discovered when clients investigated billing patterns and discovered contact avoidance evidence, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and communication manipulation that violated legal profession regulations and client service standards. Our 15th story comes from legal clients who discovered their legal service company was charging for contract review while missing critical terms and conditions, billing for comprehensive contract analysis and thorough document review while providing superficial review that overlooked important contract provisions despite contract review agreements and analysis procedures that guaranteed thorough contract examination and comprehensive document analysis according to legal service standards and contract review requirements. The inadequate review operation involved targeted analysis, fraud, and review manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal services to avoid immediate detection by legal oversight and contract monitoring that relied on honest contract analysis and thorough review for client protection and legal service integrity. The company had been particularly focused on billing for contract review services and document analysis while ensuring that review fraud would be concealed through false analysis documentation and manipulated review records that would justify review billing despite actual analysis quality that missed critical contract elements according to legal fraud concealment and client contract deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false review records and analysis documentation while coordinating superficial review with comprehensive billing protocols to minimize review time while concealing actual analysis quality and contract examination that would affect client contract understanding and legal protection based on honest legal practices and thorough contract review delivery. The company had also been manipulating review procedures and analysis verification processes to maintain review fraud while avoiding legal oversight and contract monitoring that would reveal review manipulation and analysis violations that violated client protection and legal service integrity standards. The inadequate review fraud was discovered when clients discovered missed contract terms and investigated review quality, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and contract manipulation that violated legal service regulations and contract review standards. Our 16th story comes from legal clients who discovered their law firm was billing for discovery work while failing to request essential evidence and documentation, charging for comprehensive discovery services and evidence collection while neglecting to obtain crucial case evidence and supporting documentation despite legal representation agreements and discovery procedures that guaranteed thorough evidence collection and comprehensive discovery work according to legal profession standards and litigation requirements. The failed discovery operation involved targeted litigation fraud and evidence manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal practice to avoid immediate detection by legal oversight and discovery monitoring that relied on honest evidence collection and thorough discovery for client protection and legal profession integrity. The firm had been particularly focused on billing for discovery services and evidence collection while ensuring that discovery fraud would be concealed through false collection documentation and manipulated discovery records that would justify discovery billing despite actual evidence work that failed to obtain essential materials according to legal fraud concealment and client litigation deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false discovery records and evidence documentation while coordinating inadequate collection with discovery billing protocols to minimize discovery work while concealing actual evidence collection and discovery thoroughness that would affect client case strength and litigation outcomes based on honest legal practices and comprehensive discovery delivery. The firm had also been manipulating discovery procedures and evidence verification processes to maintain collection fraud while avoiding legal oversight and discovery monitoring that would reveal discovery manipulation and evidence violations that violated client protection and legal profession integrity standards. The failed discovery fraud was discovered when cases were weakened and clients investigated evidence collection, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and discovery manipulation that violated legal profession regulations and litigation standards. Our 17th story comes from legal clients who discovered their attorney was charging for appeal preparation while lacking appellate court experience and knowledge, billing for appellate legal services and appeal preparation while providing appellate representation without appellate court experience despite legal representation agreements and appellate procedures that guaranteed experienced appellate representation and knowledgeable appeal preparation according to appellate law standards and specialized representation requirements. The inexperienced appeal operation involved targeted specialization fraud and appellate manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal practice to avoid immediate detection by legal oversight and appellate monitoring that relied on honest appellate experience and specialized knowledge for client protection and legal profession integrity. The attorney had been particularly focused on billing for appellate services and appeal preparation while ensuring that experience fraud would be concealed through false appellate documentation and manipulated experience records that would justify appellate billing despite actual appellate knowledge that lacked court experience according to legal fraud concealment and client appellate deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false appellate experience records and preparation documentation while coordinating inexperienced representation with appellate billing protocols to maximize legal revenue, while concealing actual appellate experience and court knowledge that would affect client appeal outcomes and representation quality based on honest legal practices and experienced appellate delivery. The attorney had also been manipulating appellate procedures and experience verification processes to maintain experience fraud while avoiding legal oversight and appellate monitoring that would reveal appellate manipulation and experience violations that violated client protection and legal profession integrity standards. The inexperienced appeal fraud was discovered when appeals failed and clients investigated attorney qualifications, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and appellate manipulation that violated appellate law regulations and specialized representation standards. Our 18th story comes from legal clients who discovered their legal aid service was billing for translation services while using unqualified interpreters, charging for professional translation and interpretation services while providing translation from unqualified interpreters and inadequate language services despite legal aid agreements and translation procedures that guaranteed qualified interpretation and professional translation services according to legal service standards and language assistance requirements. The unqualified translation operation involved targeted language fraud and interpretation manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal services to avoid immediate detection by legal oversight and translation monitoring that relied on honest interpretation services and qualified translation for client protection and legal service integrity. The service had been particularly focused on billing for translation services and interpretation assistance while ensuring that qualification fraud would be concealed through false interpreter documentation and manipulated translation records that would justify translation billing despite actual interpreter qualifications that lacked professional training according to legal fraud concealment and client language deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false interpreter qualification records and translation documentation while coordinating unqualified interpretation with translation billing protocols to minimize translation costs while concealing actual interpreter qualifications and translation quality that would affect client legal understanding and communication effectiveness based on honest legal practices and qualified translation delivery. The service had also been manipulating translation procedures and interpreter verification processes to maintain qualification fraud while avoiding legal oversight and translation monitoring that would reveal translation manipulation and qualification violations that violated client protection and legal service integrity standards. The unqualified translation fraud was discovered when communication errors occurred and clients investigated interpreter credentials, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and translation manipulation that violated legal service regulations and language assistance standards. Our 19th story comes from legal clients who discovered their law firm was charging for legal writing while submitting documents with errors and formatting problems. Billing for professional legal writing and document preparation while producing legal documents with grammatical errors and formatting issues despite legal representation agreements and writing procedures that guaranteed professional document preparation and error-free legal writing according to legal profession standards and document quality requirements. The error-filled writing operation involved targeted writing fraud and document manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal practice to avoid immediate detection by legal oversight and writing monitoring that relied on honest document preparation and professional writing for client protection and legal profession integrity. The firm had been particularly focused on billing for legal writing services and document preparation while ensuring that writing fraud would be concealed through false quality documentation and manipulated writing records that would justify writing billing despite actual document quality that contained errors and formatting problems according to legal fraud concealment and client document deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false writing quality records and documentation while coordinating error-filled writing with professional billing protocols to minimize writing time while concealing actual document quality and writing professionalism that would affect client legal documents and court acceptance based on honest legal practices and professional writing delivery. The firm had also been manipulating writing procedures and quality verification processes to maintain writing fraud while avoiding legal oversight and writing monitoring that would reveal writing manipulation and quality violations that violated client protection and legal profession integrity standards. The error-filled writing fraud was discovered when courts rejected documents and clients investigated writing quality, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and writing manipulation that violated legal profession regulations and document quality standards. Our 20th story comes from legal clients who discovered their attorney was billing for witness interviews while conducting superficial questioning and inadequate preparation, charging for comprehensive witness preparation and thorough interviews while providing minimal questioning and insufficient witness development despite legal representation agreements and witness procedures that guaranteed thorough witness preparation and comprehensive interviews according to legal profession standards and witness preparation requirements. The superficial interview operation involved targeted preparation fraud and witness manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal practice to avoid immediate detection by legal oversight and witness monitoring that relied on honest witness preparation and thorough interviews for client protection and legal profession integrity. The attorney had been particularly focused on billing for witness preparation services and interview work while ensuring that preparation fraud would be concealed through false interview documentation and manipulated witness records that would justify preparation billing despite actual interview quality that provided superficial questioning according to legal fraud concealment and client witness deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false interview records and preparation documentation while coordinating superficial questioning with preparation billing protocols to minimize preparation time while concealing actual interview quality and witness development that would affect client case strength and testimony effectiveness based on honest legal practices and thorough witness preparation delivery. The attorney had also been manipulating witness procedures and interview verification processes to maintain preparation fraud while avoiding legal oversight and witness monitoring that would reveal interview manipulation and preparation violations that violated client protection and legal profession integrity standards. The superficial interview fraud was discovered when witness testimony was weak and clients investigated preparation quality, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and witness manipulation that violated legal profession regulations and witness preparation standards. Our 21st story comes from legal clients who discovered their legal service provider was charging for background checks while using incomplete and outdated databases, billing for comprehensive background investigation and thorough record searches while using limited databases and obsolete information despite investigation agreements and research procedures that guaranteed comprehensive background checks and current record searches according to legal investigation standards and background check requirements. The incomplete database operation involved targeted investigation fraud and research manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal services to avoid immediate detection by legal oversight and investigation monitoring that relied on honest background checks and comprehensive research for client protection and legal service integrity. The provider had been particularly focused on billing for background investigation services and record searches while ensuring that investigation fraud would be concealed through false research documentation and manipulated investigation records that would justify investigation billing despite actual research quality that used incomplete databases according to legal fraud concealment and client investigation deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false research records and investigation documentation while coordinating incomplete searches with investigation billing protocols to minimize research costs while concealing actual database completeness and research thoroughness that would affect client investigation results and background accuracy based on honest legal practices and comprehensive investigation delivery. The provider had also been manipulating investigation procedures and research verification processes to maintain database fraud while avoiding legal oversight and investigation monitoring that would reveal investigation manipulation and research violations that violated client protection and legal service integrity standards. The incomplete database fraud was discovered when important information was missed and clients investigated research quality, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and investigation manipulation that violated legal investigation regulations and background check standards. Our 22nd story comes from legal clients who discovered their law firm was billing for mediation services while lacking conflict resolution training and certification, charging for professional mediation and conflict resolution services while providing mediation from attorneys without mediation training despite mediation agreements and certification procedures that guaranteed qualified mediation and professional conflict resolution according to mediation standards and dispute resolution requirements. The uncertified mediation operation involved targeted mediation fraud and certification manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal practice to avoid immediate detection by mediation oversight and certification monitoring that relied on honest mediation certification and conflict resolution training for client protection and mediation service integrity. The firm had been particularly focused on billing for mediation services and conflict resolution while ensuring that certification fraud would be concealed through false mediation documentation and manipulated certification records that would justify mediation billing despite actual mediator qualifications that lacked conflict resolution training according to legal fraud concealment and client mediation deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false certification records and mediation documentation while coordinating uncertified mediation with professional billing protocols to maximize mediation revenue, while concealing actual mediation qualifications and conflict resolution training that would affect client dispute resolution and mediation effectiveness based on honest legal practices and certified mediation delivery. The firm had also been manipulating mediation procedures and certification verification processes to maintain mediation fraud while avoiding mediation oversight and certification monitoring that would reveal mediation manipulation and certification violations that violated client protection and mediation service integrity standards. The uncertified mediation fraud was discovered when mediations failed and clients investigated mediator qualifications, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and mediation manipulation that violated mediation regulations and dispute resolution standards. Our 23rd story comes from legal clients who discovered their attorney was charging for estate planning while using outdated forms and invalid legal structures, billing for comprehensive estate planning and current legal documents while providing estate plans with obsolete forms and legally invalid structures despite estate planning agreements and legal procedures that guaranteed current estate documents and valid legal structures according to estate law standards and estate planning requirements. The outdated estate operation involved targeted planning, fraud, and document manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal practice to avoid immediate detection by legal oversight and estate monitoring that relied on honest estate planning and current legal documents for client protection and legal profession integrity. The attorney had been particularly focused on billing for estate planning services and document preparation while ensuring that planning fraud would be concealed through false currency documentation and manipulated estate records that would justify planning billing despite actual document quality that provided outdated legal structures according to legal fraud concealment and client estate deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false estate planning records and documentation while coordinating outdated forms with planning billing protocols to minimize planning preparation while concealing actual document currency and legal validity that would affect client estate protection and document effectiveness based on honest legal practices and current estate planning delivery. The attorney had also been manipulating estate procedures and document verification processes to maintain planning fraud while avoiding legal oversight and estate monitoring that would reveal planning manipulation and document violations that violated client protection and legal profession integrity standards. The outdated estate fraud was discovered when estate documents were challenged and clients investigated document validity, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and estate manipulation that violated estate law regulations and estate planning standards. Our 24th story comes from legal clients who discovered their legal document service was billing for process serving while failing to properly deliver legal papers, charging for official process serving and legal document delivery while failing to complete proper service and document delivery despite process serving agreements and delivery procedures that guaranteed proper legal service and document delivery, according to process serving standards and legal document delivery requirements. The failed service operation involved targeted delivery fraud and process manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate document services to avoid immediate detection by process oversight and delivery monitoring that relied on honest process serving and proper document delivery for client protection and process serving integrity. The service had been particularly focused on billing for process serving and document delivery while ensuring that delivery fraud would be concealed through false service documentation and manipulated delivery records that would justify service billing, despite actual delivery attempts that failed to complete proper service according to legal fraud concealment and client process deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false delivery records and service documentation while coordinating failed service with delivery billing protocols to minimize service effort while concealing actual delivery completion and process validity that would affect client legal proceedings and document service based on honest process practices and proper delivery completion. The service had also been manipulating process procedures and delivery verification processes to maintain service fraud while avoiding process oversight and delivery monitoring that would reveal delivery manipulation and process violations that violated client protection and process serving integrity standards. The failed service fraud was discovered when legal proceedings were delayed and clients investigated delivery completion, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and process manipulation that violated process serving regulations and legal document delivery standards. Our 25th story comes from legal clients who discovered their law firm was charging for intellectual property work while lacking trademark and patent expertise, billing for intellectual property legal services and IP protection while providing IP representation without trademark and patent knowledge despite IP agreements and expertise procedures that guaranteed specialized IP knowledge and qualified intellectual property representation according to intellectual property law standards and specialized practice requirements. The inadequate IP operation involved targeted specialization fraud and expertise manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal practice to avoid immediate detection by legal oversight and IP monitoring that relied on honest IP expertise and specialized knowledge for client protection and legal profession integrity. The firm had been particularly focused on billing for IP services and intellectual property work while ensuring that expertise fraud would be concealed through false specialization documentation and manipulated IP records that would justify IP billing despite actual IP knowledge that lacked trademark and patent expertise according to legal fraud concealment and client IP deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false IP expertise records and specialization documentation while coordinating inadequate knowledge with IP billing protocols to maximize IP revenue while concealing actual IP expertise and specialized knowledge that would affect client IP protection and representation quality based on honest legal practices and specialized IP delivery. The firm had also been manipulating IP procedures and expertise verification processes to maintain specialization fraud while avoiding legal oversight and IP monitoring that would reveal IP manipulation and expertise violations that violated client protection and legal profession integrity standards. The inadequate IP fraud was discovered when IP applications failed and clients investigated firm expertise, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and IP manipulation that violated intellectual property law regulations and specialized practice standards. Our 26th story comes from legal clients who discovered their attorney was billing for real estate transactions while missing disclosure requirements and title issues, charging for comprehensive real estate legal services and transaction support while overlooking mandatory disclosures and title problems despite real estate agreements and transaction procedures that guaranteed complete disclosure compliance and title issue resolution according to real estate law standards and transaction requirements. The misdisclosure operation involved targeted transaction fraud and compliance manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal practice to avoid immediate detection by legal oversight and real estate monitoring that relied on honest disclosure, compliance, and title issue resolution for client protection and legal profession integrity. The attorney had been particularly focused on billing for real estate services and transaction work while ensuring that compliance fraud would be concealed through false disclosure documentation and manipulated transaction records that would justify real estate billing despite actual compliance work that missed disclosure requirements according to legal fraud concealment and client transaction deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false compliance records and transaction documentation while coordinating misdisclosures with real estate billing protocols to minimize transaction preparation while concealing actual disclosure compliance and title work that would affect client real estate transactions and legal protection based on honest legal practices and complete compliance delivery. The attorney had also been manipulating real estate procedures and compliance verification processes to maintain transaction fraud while avoiding legal oversight and real estate monitoring that would reveal transaction manipulation and compliance violations that violated client protection and legal profession integrity standards. The misdisclosure fraud was discovered when transactions were challenged and clients investigated compliance work, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and real estate manipulation that violated real estate law regulations and transaction standards. Our 27th story comes from legal clients who discovered their legal service company was charging for business formation while providing inadequate corporate structures, billing for comprehensive business formation and proper corporate structuring while providing business entities with inadequate legal structures and incomplete formation despite business formation agreements and incorporation procedures that guaranteed proper business structuring and complete entity formation according to business law standards and corporate formation requirements. The inadequate formation operation involved targeted structuring fraud and formation manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal services to avoid immediate detection by legal oversight and business monitoring that relied on honest business formation and proper corporate structuring for client protection and legal service integrity. The company had been particularly focused on billing for business formation services and corporate structuring while ensuring that formation fraud would be concealed through false structuring documentation and manipulated formation records that would justify formation billing despite actual structuring work that provided inadequate corporate entities according to legal fraud concealment and client business deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false formation records and structuring documentation while coordinating inadequate formation with business billing protocols to minimize formation preparation while concealing actual structuring quality and formation completeness that would affect client business entities and legal protection based on honest legal practices and proper formation delivery. The company had also been manipulating formation procedures and structuring verification processes to maintain formation fraud while avoiding legal oversight and business monitoring that would reveal formation manipulation and structuring violations that violated client protection and legal service integrity standards. The inadequate formation fraud was discovered when business entities faced legal problems and clients investigated formation quality, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and business manipulation that violated business law regulations and corporate formation standards. Our 28th story comes from legal clients who discovered their law firm was billing for employment law advice while lacking current workplace regulation knowledge, charging for employment law legal services and workplace advice while providing employment guidance without current regulatory knowledge despite employment law agreements and expertise procedures that guaranteed current workplace law knowledge and qualified employment representation according to employment law standards and workplace regulation requirements. The outdated employment operation involved targeted expertise fraud and knowledge manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal practice to avoid immediate detection by legal oversight and employment monitoring that relied on honest employment expertise and current regulatory knowledge for client protection and legal profession integrity. The firm had been particularly focused on billing for employment law services and workplace advice while ensuring that expertise fraud would be concealed through false knowledge documentation and manipulated employment records that would justify employment billing despite actual regulatory knowledge that lacked current workplace information according to legal fraud concealment and client employment deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false expertise records and employment documentation while coordinating outdated knowledge with employment billing protocols to minimize regulatory research, while concealing actual knowledge currency and employment expertise that would affect client workplace protection and legal guidance based on honest legal practices and current employment law delivery. The firm had also been manipulating employment procedures and expertise verification processes to maintain knowledge fraud while avoiding legal oversight and employment monitoring that would reveal employment manipulation and expertise violations that violated client protection and legal profession integrity standards. The outdated employment fraud was discovered when workplace advice proved incorrect and clients investigated firm knowledge, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and employment manipulation that violated employment law regulations and workplace regulation standards. Our 29th story comes from vulnerable legal clients who discovered their attorney was charging for family law services while using emotionally manipulative tactics on vulnerable clients, billing for family law representation and supportive legal services while employing emotional manipulation and exploitative tactics against clients during difficult family situations despite family law agreements and ethical procedures that required supportive representation and ethical client treatment, according to family law standards and attorney ethics requirements. The manipulative tactics operation involved targeted ethical fraud and client manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal practice to avoid immediate detection by legal oversight and ethics monitoring that relied on honest client treatment and ethical representation for customer protection and legal profession integrity. The attorney had been particularly focused on billing for family law services and emotional support while ensuring that manipulation would be concealed through false support documentation and manipulated client records that would justify supportive billing despite actual client treatment that employed emotional manipulation according to legal fraud concealment and vulnerable client exploitation techniques. The scheme extended to creating false support records and client documentation while coordinating emotional manipulation with supportive billing protocols to maximize client dependency while concealing actual client treatment and ethical violations that would affect client emotional well-being and legal representation based on honest legal practices and ethical client support delivery. The attorney had also been manipulating family procedures and ethics verification processes to maintain manipulation while avoiding legal oversight and ethics monitoring that would reveal client manipulation and ethical violations that violated client protection and legal profession integrity standards. The manipulative tactics fraud was discovered when clients sought therapy and investigated attorney behavior, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and client manipulation that violated family law regulations and attorney ethics standards. Our 30th story comes from legal clients who discovered their legal aid organization was billing for immigration assistance while lacking current policy and procedure knowledge, charging for immigration legal services and assistance while providing immigration guidance without current policy knowledge despite immigration assistance agreements and expertise procedures that guaranteed current immigration knowledge and qualified assistance according to immigration law standards and assistance requirements. The outdated immigration operation involved targeted assistance fraud and knowledge manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal services to avoid immediate detection by legal oversight and immigration monitoring that relied on honest immigration expertise and current policy knowledge for client protection and legal aid integrity. The organization had been particularly focused on billing for immigration assistance and legal services while ensuring that knowledge fraud would be concealed through false expertise documentation and manipulated immigration records that would justify assistance billing despite actual policy knowledge that lacked current immigration information according to legal fraud concealment and client immigration deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false expertise records and immigration documentation while coordinating outdated knowledge with assistance billing protocols to minimize policy research while concealing actual knowledge, currency, and immigration expertise that would affect client immigration outcomes and legal assistance based on honest legal practices and current immigration law delivery. The organization had also been manipulating immigration procedures and expertise verification processes to maintain knowledge fraud while avoiding legal oversight and immigration monitoring that would reveal immigration manipulation and expertise violations that violated client protection and legal aid integrity standards. The outdated immigration fraud was discovered when immigration applications failed and clients investigated organization knowledge, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and immigration manipulation that violated immigration law regulations and assistance standards. Our 31st story comes from injury victims who discovered their law firm was charging for personal injury representation while settling cases below fair compensation values, billing for aggressive personal injury advocacy and maximum compensation pursuit, while accepting inadequate settlement offers without proper case evaluation despite personal injury agreements and advocacy procedures that guaranteed maximum compensation pursuit and fair settlement evaluation according to personal injury law standards and client advocacy requirements. The below-value settlement operation involved targeted advocacy fraud and compensation manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal practice to avoid immediate detection by legal oversight and injury monitoring that relied on honest advocacy and fair compensation pursuit for client protection and legal profession integrity. The firm had been particularly focused on billing for personal injury advocacy and compensation services while ensuring that settlement fraud would be concealed through false advocacy documentation and manipulated settlement records that would justify advocacy billing despite actual settlement work that accepted below-value compensation according to legal fraud concealment and client compensation deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false advocacy records and settlement documentation while coordinating inadequate settlements with advocacy billing protocols to minimize casework while concealing actual advocacy effort and compensation pursuit that would affect client injury compensation and legal recovery based on honest legal practices and maximum advocacy delivery. The firm had also been manipulating injury procedures and advocacy verification processes to maintain settlement fraud while avoiding legal oversight and injury monitoring that would reveal settlement manipulation and advocacy violations that violated client protection and legal profession integrity standards. The below-value settlement fraud was discovered when clients investigated compensation amounts and discovered settlement inadequacy, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and injury manipulation that violated personal injury law regulations and client advocacy standards. Our 32nd story comes from criminal defendants who discovered their attorney was billing for criminal defense while lacking trial experience and courtroom skills, charging for experienced criminal defense and trial advocacy while providing defense representation without trial experience despite criminal defense agreements and representation procedures that guaranteed experienced defense advocacy and qualified trial representation according to criminal law standards and defense requirements. The inexperienced defense operation involved targeted experience fraud and advocacy manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal practice to avoid immediate detection by legal oversight and defense monitoring that relied on honest defense, experience, and trial advocacy for defendant protection and legal profession integrity. The attorney had been particularly focused on billing for criminal defense services and trial advocacy while ensuring that experience fraud would be concealed through false experience documentation and manipulated defense records that would justify defense billing despite actual trial experience that lacked courtroom advocacy according to legal fraud concealment and defendant representation deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false experience records and defense documentation while coordinating inexperienced representation with defense billing protocols to maximize defense revenue while concealing actual trial experience and advocacy skills that would affect defendant outcomes and legal representation based on honest legal practices and experienced defense delivery. The attorney had also been manipulating defense procedures and experience verification processes to maintain experience fraud, while avoiding legal oversight and defense monitoring that would reveal defense manipulation and experience violations that violated defendant protection and legal profession integrity standards. The inexperienced defense fraud was discovered when trials were lost and defendants investigated attorney qualifications, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and defense manipulation that violated criminal law regulations and defense representation standards. Our 33rd story comes from debt-burdened clients who discovered their legal service provider was charging for debt collection defense while providing ineffective representation strategies, billing for aggressive debt defense and collection protection while using ineffective legal strategies and inadequate defense techniques despite debt defense agreements and representation procedures that guaranteed effective debt protection and successful defense strategies according to debt defense standards and client protection requirements. The ineffective defense operation involved targeted strategy fraud and representation manipulation while maintaining enough legitimate legal services to avoid immediate detection by legal oversight and debt monitoring that relied on honest defense strategies and effective representation for client protection and legal service integrity. The provider had been particularly focused on billing for debt defense services and collection protection while ensuring that strategy fraud would be concealed through false effectiveness documentation and manipulated defense records that would justify defense billing despite actual defense strategies that provided ineffective protection according to legal fraud concealment and client debt deception techniques. The scheme extended to creating false strategy records and defense documentation while coordinating ineffective representation with defense billing protocols to minimize defense preparation while concealing actual strategy effectiveness and representation quality that would affect client debt protection and legal outcomes based on honest legal practices and effective defense delivery. The provider had also been manipulating debt procedures and strategy verification processes to maintain defense fraud while avoiding legal oversight and debt monitoring that would reveal defense manipulation and strategy violations that violated client protection and legal service integrity standards. The ineffective defense fraud was discovered when debt cases were lost and clients investigated defense strategies, leading to evidence that revealed comprehensive legal fraud and debt manipulation that violated debt defense regulations and client protection standards. As we conclude tonight's journey through these 33 legal services fraud stories, we're reminded that legal representation and attorney services, despite being essential for justice and protection, can sometimes harbor individuals who exploit trust and manipulate legal processes. These tales from Reddit show us the importance of researching attorney credentials thoroughly, verifying bar admissions, and investigating law firm specializations. Whether you're seeking legal representation, hiring attorneys, or using legal services, these stories serve as valuable reminders about protecting yourself from legal profession deception. Thank you for joining me tonight on Drowsy Tales Daily, and may these stories guide you into peaceful sleep with renewed awareness of legal industry pitfalls. Sweet dreams, and I'll see you tomorrow night for another collection of fascinating Reddit stories designed to help you drift off to sleep. Until then, sleep well and dream of honest attorneys and trustworthy legal representation.